All right, man. Shakur Stevenson is back on social media crying, coming at a lot of different people. I've seen the It Is What It Is podcast with Cam and Mace, and they dedicated pretty much a whole hour to flaming Shakur Stevenson. Seen Shakur take shots at Timothy Bradley. Of course, he took shots at Bob Arum, so on and so forth. A lot of different people, and even challenged certain people to a fight. He challenged Cam and Mace to a fight. He said if he seen them in person, they would have to have them straps because they wouldn't be able to do nothing with their hands with him. Uh, Let me bring out the banner immediately for Shakur Stevenson. Flame of shame to Shakur Stevenson for not keeping his composure outside of the ring. Inside the ring, the guy does pretty well. I don't have too much criticism about Shakur like most people um, in this particular fight because I think that this fight against Artem, I think that Shakur definitely was more aggressive than the fight he had with De Los Santos, where he was, on some track meet type shit. But for this fight, he tried. We all know that it is a lot of pressure on you when you're fighting in your hometown, your backyard. And also, he had, of course, the pressure from the previous fight versus De Los Santos, and trying to be entertaining, and that's been a topic. Um, the evolving theme lately in the sport of boxing. You have exciting fighters, and then you have elite boxers, very skilled elite boxers like Shakur Stevenson, where he might go in there and dominate, win every round, but the boxing fans, um, or I'd say the casuals, will criticize somebody like Shakur Stevenson for not knocking out his opponent because you got somebody else in your weight class who is knocking guys out. You know, Tank, he loses a lot of rounds, but he delivers the excitement that fans come out to see, which is the spectacular KO, which is something that Shakur has not been able to do as of lately. Um, a lot of people are, ignoring the fact that this is what third or fourth weight class for Shakur. I think he started at 26, 30, 30. So third weight class for Shakur Stevenson, three-time division champ. And a lot of times we see when fighters go up in weight, the knockouts decrease. That's not the case for everybody. We've seen guys like Manny Pacquiao go up 7, 8 weight classes and still able to knock people out. A lot of people, question that power. A lot of people say maybe he was using performance enhancing drugs and just never got caught. We don't know. But a higher percentage of fighters that go up, they decrease their KO percentage. We seen Floyd too. Floyd was knocking motherfuckers out 130, 135, even 140. He got to 147. It was pretty much 12-round decisions. And I've seen the topic or the conversation come up where people were giving Floyd a pass, pinch and shutouts. But when Shakur does it, or like say when Devin Haney does it, or guys on that level, or Shaky Foster does it, these guys are not getting the passes to do that. And I saw another video, man. I want to get it. Dang, I wish I could remember the guy's name. It was my first time, I think second time stumbling across his channel. But I can't think of the name right now. But I'll leave it in the description. I'll try to leave a link in the description. It was a good video. He was breaking down Floyd and the comparisons between Floyd and the skilled boxers nowadays. And he was saying that because Tank is in the same division as Shakur, that's why Shakur is not really getting a pass because, uh, A lot of the black community can get behind Tank and say, well, Tank is way more exciting. Whereas Floyd, he was like the most popular guy. Of course, he went through the stages of the Pretty Boy Floyd era. He was knocking people out. He was exciting, and then he went into the, um, you know, you're gonna hit air, and then I'm gonna outpoint you for 12 rounds. So um, that topic right there. Whereas Floyd was getting a pass for it, and then now a lot of these fighters that will box 12 rounds hardly get touched, but not get the KO. They're getting a lot of criticism. But one thing I will say, um, why I'm flaming Shakur Stevenson or giving him the flame of shame is he gotta get off this social media, man. A lot of these young champs, young contenders, young prospects, they really heavily rely on the feedback of these fans, whether they're casuals, whether they're diehards, and whether you impress or not, you gotta just detach yourself. It's like that's the first thing these guys do. Immediately after their performance, they want to see how people is talking about them, you know. And if they're not getting the right type of feedback that they want from the fans or these analysts or whatever commentators, then they go and want to call them out to a fight. Then they want to say, "Oh well, you didn't do this shit in your career. Ooh, you just jealous." Blah 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 blah. They'll go on that whole spiel and act like there's some agenda to tear them down and all of that. Now, I will say this: I didn't like the way Top Rank strategically showed people walking out on Shakur. Yeah, people maybe walked out middle of the rounds, 11, 12, but it's not a good look. And I just felt like it was a strategic thing they did because Shakur um, is at the end of his contract. And I don't think he's interested in re-signing with Top Rank. He might fuck around and sign with Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, or something like that, which is a good for him if he does that. I don't know what great fights he'll be able to get on that side of the street, but he is a world champion. So um, with him having the title, especially that WBC, they should be coming after him. It sucks that we're in an era where you got these champions that got to call out individuals for the smoke when it should be the other way around. Champions should be chased, not champions chasing after the smoke. But one thing about it is that you know, Shakur kind of put himself in the situation that he did because he didn't have the patience to wait until his contract was completely up before he started talking bad about Bob Arum and Top Rank and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. You got to be smart, you know, and I just think that outside the ring, he's not as smart with his decisions as he is inside the ring because I think he's a hell of a fighter. However, I don't think that he's ready for somebody like a Tank. Um, Everybody else he probably is. Everybody else he's probably ready for. But that Tank smoke is the only fight I feel like, you know what, man, you in way over your head. You're not ready for Tank. Tank will probably let you win the first 6, 7 rounds, but eventually he gonna figure you out. Shakur does get hit. And if that fight does happen, he better, you know, fight differently. I don't think he want to, have the same type of game plan as he fought against Artem, going in there with Tank. Plus, there's another southpaw fighter. Guy got probably just as much speed as you, more power, ring IQ, and damn solid defense too. You know, and that one punch knockout power. The equalizer. So it don't matter if Shakur is up on the scorecard. And the way that they are starting to treat these elite skill boxers, if he go in there and pitch a shutout versus Tank, if that happens and he makes it throughout the 12 rounds, they're probably not going to give him the decision because a lot of these judges and seems like the direction of the sport is trying to get away from the sweet science. They're trying to get away from fighters that go in there and fight clean performances. Hardly get hit, outpoint their opponent throughout the duration of 12 rounds to get their hand raised. It seems like they're frowning against that kind of performance now. They want fighters that can go in there, slug it out, and get this spectacular KO. Because it's all about entertainment, but at the same time too, um, it's about winning. And any other sport, it's about the W. It's not about how you look. We could see a football game. It could be a very, very close defensive type of game. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and sometimes I don't like the type of game that my team plays because it could be a very short scoring game. Uh, field goal after field goal, defense shutting it down, and it can come down to um, a couple of points that will separate the two teams at the end of regulation. But a win is a win, whether it's pretty, whether it's ugly. Um, you know, it don't matter what it is. It could be another sport. It could be a soccer. These motherfuckers 0-0 all the way up until the last little few seconds, and they win 1-0, and people are still excited. But in the sport of boxing, if it's a very, very boring type of fight, they will slam it. They'll criticize it. Supporters act like they don't want to support the fighter no more, and this, that, and the other. I'm not that kind of dude. But Shakur got to stop over talking. He talked too much. He tries to, and I've heard other people say this, what he says out of his mouth don't add up or match what he does in that ring. You're not a knockout artist. You're not a big puncher. You're an elite boxer. You're very, very skilled, and we give you credit for that. But that's probably the main reason why Shakur gets a lot of the backlash is you talk too much shit, and then when you don't perform the way you say you're gonna perform, and the natural criticism comes, now you upset. Now you want to pick fades, with dudes in the street. Guys that's not professional boxers, you want to fight them. And you want to say, oh yeah, you need to bring the straps if you want to fight me, you know? Whereas at your fights, motherfuckers, I guess, need to bring pillows. People can say shit like that. Well, we ain't doing nothing but bringing pillows, man. To your fights, pillow hands, Whereas he could just, before the fight, say, look, I'm going to get the W. Whether the knockout comes or whether I beat the shit out of him or not, I'm going to outpoint him for 12 rounds. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to still have my belt. I'm going to still be undefeated. And if you say that, and that's what happens, then less criticism is going to come to Shakur Stevenson. So that's all I have on Shakur. These are my thoughts. Flame of shame, man, for not being able to handle criticism, man. You got to be able to handle the criticism that comes after your fights, man, whether you win it, whether you look exciting or not. You know what I mean? And you got to be honest with yourself, man. That if you perform the way you intended on performing, and what you said leading up into the fight. So when you don't deliver, you have to take the backlash that comes with that. Okay. So that's my thoughts. Y'all leave y'all thoughts below. I'm the Black Horseman. Peace out.